everyone, welcome to your deep dive. Today we're going to be diving deep into textiles in fashion. We've got a bunch of interesting sources lined up for you today, some notes that I've taken, a transcript from a fashion podcast that I listened to,
Okay.
and then also a really cool summary document that kind of ties all of the ideas together. You know, when you think about textiles, you might think, oh, that's just clothes, right?
Right. Yeah.
But actually, I think you'll be really surprised by how much more. Textiles kind of permeate every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're in our homes, they're in our cars, they're really everywhere.
They are.
So are you ready to unpack all of this textile stuff with me?
Let's get into it. I think people would be really fascinated to find out just how much textiles are really integral to design, to function, and even innovation in so many areas of our lives.
I'm already intrigued. So where do we even begin with something this big?
Well, I think a natural place to start is with the word textile itself. It comes from the Latin word texere,
Ooh.
which means to weave. And this kind of gives us a hint right at the core concept here.
Yeah.
Textiles are materials made by interlacing fibers. And these fibers can be natural, like cotton or silk, or synthetic, like polyester.
Okay, so it's all about these little tiny fibers and how they're put together.
Exactly. And, depending on the fiber and how it's processed, the textile will take on a completely different character. It can be delicate like silk chiffon, or it can be very rugged like denim.
And that's when it gets interesting in fashion, right?
Absolutely. In the fashion world, designers are kind of like alchemists. They very intentionally choose specific textiles to achieve a certain look, a certain feel, and a certain function for a garment. So, for example, you take cotton. Cotton's really breathable and perfect for summer clothes.
Uh-huh.
But a simple cotton T-shirt feels completely different from like a crisp cotton poplin shirt.
Right.
Right. And that's because the way that those fibers are woven actually changes the drape, the texture, and even the durability of the material.
Yeah, this reminds me of something that was in that podcast transcript. They were talking about how designers will choose silk, for a flowing gown to get that sense of luxury and movement.
Yeah.
Whereas denim, which is that sturdy cotton tulle weave, is perfect for like a structured jacket. So it's like each textile has its own personality.
Yes. That informs the design.
I love that.
And when you start to understand those personalities, that's when you can really start to see how textiles influence the designer's whole artistic vision. It's not just about aesthetics either. Think about activewear.
Oh, right.
For instance.
I mean, I live in yoga pants.
Well, those yoga pants are probably made from a blend of synthetic fibers like polyester and spandex, which are chosen very specifically for their stretch and their moisture-wicking properties and their ability to hold their shape. So that textile choice is directly linked to the function of the garment.
Yeah, it's like each textile brings its own superpower.
Exactly, to the design table.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, and the world of textiles, it's always evolving. Our sources were highlighting some really interesting innovations like recycled polyester made from plastic bottles.
Ooh.
And even plant-based leathers made from pineapple leaves.
That recycled polyester one really caught my eye.
Yeah.
Turning plastic bottles into clothes, that's incredible.
It is pretty amazing.
But is it really sustainable?
Well, it's a complex issue. While recycling those bottles into fabric keeps them out of landfills, that process still requires energy, and it can release microplastics into the environment.
Oh, right.
So there are brands out there that are exploring more sustainable practices like using recycled cotton or even bioengineered textiles. That can biodegrade.
So it's about looking beyond just that initial wow factor and really understanding the full life cycle.
Yes, of the materials.
Yeah.
And that's where knowledge really empowers you as a consumer.
Okay, before we get too deep into that, I want to make sure that we have a good grasp on all the different types of textiles.
Yeah.
Should we explore that next?
You're right. Understanding the different types of textiles is key. It's like learning a whole new language.
Okay.
It unlocks a deeper appreciation for the clothes you wear and the choices that you make.
I'm ready for that. I'm already feeling so much more aware of what I'm wearing just from this conversation so far.
Good.
So where do we even start with this textile vocabulary lesson?
Well, we've already kind of touched on the two main categories, natural fibers and synthetic fibers.
Okay.
So natural fibers, as you might guess, come from nature, plants and animals.
Like cotton from the cotton plant wool from sheep, and silk, which I remember from the sources comes from silkworms.
You got it. And each of those natural fibers has its own unique set of characteristics that really influences how the final fabric feels, how it performs, and even how it should be cared for.
Yeah.
So cotton, for instance, is known for being breathable and relatively easy to care for.
Which is probably why it's so popular for everything, from t-shirts to bed sheets.
Exactly. Now, wool, on the other hand, is prized for its warmth and its moisture-wicking properties. Think about a cozy wool sweater on a chilly day.
Okay, so wool is warm and cozy. Got it. Now, what about silk? Our sources mentioned it was being luxurious.
Yeah.
But what makes it so special?
Silk is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's produced by silkworms, and the fibers are incredibly fine and smooth. And that's what gives silk that signature luxurious drape and sheen. It's pretty delicate, though. It requires a bit more careful cleaning.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've definitely learned the hard way that silk and my washing machine don't really mix.
Yeah.
So we've got all these amazing natural fibers, each with their own unique qualities. What about synthetic fibers? Those are the ones made by humans, right?
That's right. Synthetic fibers are often derived from petroleum products, and they're created through these chemical processes.
Yeah.
So polyester, nylon, and acrylic are some of the most common ones.
And they've completely revolutionized the textile industry, haven't they?
They really have.
Yeah.
They offer this level of versatility and control that you just really can't achieve with natural fibers alone. You can engineer synthetic fibers for very specific properties, like durability, water resistance, stretch.
Yeah. Our sources were talking about sportswear being a really good example of this.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about performance.
Absolutely. Think about those moisture-wicking running shirts or those super stretchy yoga pants we were talking about. Those often rely on synthetic fibers or blends to achieve that level of performance.
This is starting to feel like a superpower comparison. You've got the natural fibers with their, like, inherent qualities versus the synthetic fibers with their engineered abilities.
I like that analogy. And just look with superheroes. It's not about one being better than the other. It's really about understanding their strengths and their weaknesses and choosing the right one for the job.
So that brings us back to us, the consumers. How does understanding all of this help us make better choices?
Well, imagine you're shopping for a new pair of jeans. Would you want them to be 100% cotton for that classic denim look and feel? Or maybe you would prefer a little bit of stretch, so you might look for a blend that includes some spandex.
That's a good point. I usually just kind of grab whatever feels right. But now I'm thinking about all those tiny fibers and how they impact the way that the jeans will wear and feel.
Exactly. And, knowing about the different fibers can also help you understand how to care for your clothes better.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever shrunk a wool sweater in the wash?
Don't remind me. It was my favorite one, too.
Yeah, that's a classic example of why understanding fiber content is so important. Wool fibers are very sensitive to heat and agitation, so they need to be washed very gently, often by hand, or on a very delicate cycle. Knowing that can save you a lot of heartache and shrunken sweaters in the future.
So all of this textile knowledge is not just about fashion. It's about practicality and sustainability, too.
Absolutely. Knowing your textiles helps you make more informed choices about what you buy, how you care for it, and ultimately, how long it will last. So it empowers you to take better care of your clothes and make them a more sustainable part of your wardrobe.
This is making you want to rethink my whole approach to shopping. It's not just about how it looks on the hanger or anything.
I know, it's pretty amazing. That's the beauty of knowledge. It can really change your whole perspective.
Yeah.
But, we're just scratching the surface here.
Okay.
The world of textiles is vast
Yeah.
and constantly evolving, especially when it comes to innovation.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. I'm seeing my wardrobe in a whole new light. But before we wrap up, our sources were hinting at some really cutting-edge stuff happening in the textile world.
Yeah.
What's going on with all this innovation?
It's a really exciting time to be following textiles. There's a real push to address sustainability concerns and find innovative solutions to some of the fashion industry's biggest challenges.
Okay, I am so ready for the future of fashion. So we've talked about recycled polyester. What other innovations are out there that are really changing the game?
Well, one area that's really intriguing is the development of plant-based leathers. So these are created using materials like pineapple leaves, mushroom fibers, or even apple peels.
Wow.
And they offer a cruelty-free alternative to traditional leather and can often be produced with a lower environmental impact.
So you're telling me that my next handbag could be made from pineapple?
Yeah, potentially.
That's wild. I am all for more sustainable options, but do these new materials perform as well as the traditional ones?
That's a great question, and it's something that researchers and designers are constantly working on. Some plant-based leathers are already incredibly durable and versatile,
Yeah,
rivaling traditional leather in terms of quality and performance.
that's really cool. Now, our sources also mentioned something about 3D knitting.
Yeah.
What is that, and how is it changing the way that clothes are made?
So 3D knitting is a really revolutionary technology. It allows designers to create seamless garments directly from a digital design. So imagine knitting a sweater all in one piece with no seams or cutting involved.
Wow.
It minimizes waste and offers just incredible precision and customization.
So it's like printing a sweater instead of sewing it together.
That's a great way to think about it.
That's amazing. It sounds like the possibilities are pretty much endless.
They really are. And it's not just about sustainability and efficiency. We're also seeing incredible advancements in tech-integrated textiles.
Okay. This is where fashion meets technology in some really mind-blowing ways.
Yeah.
Okay, you have my attention. What exactly are tech-integrated textiles? The sources mentioned something about clothes that can monitor your heart rate.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine clothing that can regulate your body temperature, change color on demand, or even generate electricity from your movement.
Whoa, okay, that sounds like straight out of a sci-fi movie. Are we talking real wearable clothes, or is this still like in the experimental phase?
A lot of these technologies are already being developed and tested. There are companies creating sportswear that tracks your performance metrics, medical garments that monitor vital signs, and even fabrics that can harvest energy from the sun.
So our clothes could potentially charge our phones?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
The future is now.
It is incredible to think about. The line between fashion and technology is becoming increasingly blurred.
This deep dive has been such an eye-opener. I feel like I've gone from being totally clueless about textiles to having this whole new appreciation for them. And it's not even just about fashion. It's about innovation. It's about sustainability. It's about the future of how we interact with the materials that we wear.
It's true.
I have to say, I am a little overwhelmed by all of this information, but in a good way. Where do we even go from here?
Well, the best thing you can do is stay curious. Keep exploring, asking questions, and learning about the materials that really make up your world. Every time you get dressed, think about the fibers, the processes, and the people behind those clothes. It adds a whole new layer of meaning to your wardrobe.
I'm definitely going to be checking those clothing labels more carefully from now on, and maybe doing a little bit more research before I make my next purchase. Who knows, maybe my next purchase will be pineapple leather.
That's the spirit. It's
Yep.
all about making informed choices and supporting the innovations that are shaping a more sustainable and exciting future for fashion.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this incredible deep dive.
It has been a pleasure exploring the world of textiles with you.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and for opening my eyes to this really amazing world. Listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of textiles. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.